conference has been around a long time, and it's one of the best places to get good professional development training, meet great people, and learn how to do your job better.
The benefits of the conference are many. One, it gives people an opportunity to see what's new in terms of technology, software, but more importantly, a chance to talk to your colleagues to find out what they're doing, what the best practices are, how students are benefiting from it, and how college budget can find ways to do things more efficiently and effectively.
This is my third year in a row of going to the ITC conference. It's a wonderful conference for both faculty and for instructional technology people. It's one of the few conferences I see that a lot of faculty come to when I go to other conferences. So it's been a real benefit, I think, to faculty. I think it's real important for them to come.
It's been wonderful simply because I can use the information that I've gotten in these conference sessions and apply them into my classes right away. A lot of them I need to go out, I need to research. A lot of free resources that I can access. Other things I think I'm going to bring back to some administrators and see if we can apply them at our college.
It's been a really exciting conference and beneficial for those that go to the breakout sessions. You get to meet colleagues from other institutions and find out some of the best practices or worst practices, as one of our keynote speakers have mentioned. So I would recommend it to anybody who's interested in learning more about distance education.
This is our first year as a vendor at the ITC, and we've enjoyed it immensely. We've had a lot of traffic, and so I encourage other individuals and corporations alike to consider this conference in their trade show schedule.
I've attended some smaller conferences in my own state, but this has been a chance to get out and meet some folks from around the country and really get some great ideas on how to go back and make our e-learning program better.
This has been an exceptional event, very valuable and exciting to connect with so many people doing similar things, such progressive things, to be able to take that back to my campus and share with faculty and other professionals there, just very, very valuable.
I've been coming to this conference for several years now, and you not only meet new colleagues, but new friends, people who are leading the way. It's a wonderful place to share ideas, and it just re-energizes you to go back home and do all kinds of wonderful things.
Online students frequently tell me that they further their education only due to the online format of courses. And many of you are online instructors, and having dealt with a lot of students, I'm sure you've had your fair share of students who ask for extensions on assignments. You know, their excuses range from going on vacation, legitimate, to having a broken ankle. They can't get online. So you can imagine the breath of fresh air that I inhaled when I had this particular student in the spring semester of 2007. She emailed me simply to inform me that she'll be spending the next couple of months in Shands Hospital up in Gainesville, tending to her 19-year-old daughter who is waiting for a heart transplant. She said she'll be completing all her assignments on time. She just wanted to inform me that she'll be out of pocket for a time. Not once during the semester did she ask for anything special due to her circumstances. I knew then I was dealing with one really special individual. She consistently turned in superior work throughout the term and finished with flying colors. Then, in the fall, I saw her name on another one of my classes. My initial thought was, oh, the woman's a glutton for punishment, taking me again. Upon introductions, she informs me how wonderfully her daughter is doing after her heart transplant. The semester was rolling along, and like her performance in the first class, her work was phenomenal. Then, one early Sunday morning, I go online. It was towards the end of the semester, and I get an email from her. She told me that suddenly her daughter passed away, and she may not be able to turn in her next assignment. Of course, I was stunned at the news and just astonished at this person's inner strength. Again, she asked for no special commendations. She just wanted to tell me that she'll probably be turning in her assignment late. And I, of course, told her, take whatever time that you need to do to deal with anything you need to. Not only did she do her assignment and finish the semester in my class, she did so in all 4 of her classes. And if it wasn't for online courses, she would have had to withdraw from school due to her crises. I have found this student and her story to be the absolute epitome of the online student, one who chooses online courses due to circumstances of life. She is nothing less than exceptional. The 2008 Outstanding E-Learning Student Award goes to Pamela Himel. Her daughter, Shara, would be so proud of her.
Thank you all very much, and thanks, Dr. Lechner, for nominating me for this award. 2.5 years ago, when I was contemplating going back to school, I was a single mom with my oldest daughter entering her 3rd year in college and Shara entering her senior year in high school. I was working full-time, 3rd shift overnights, and also occasionally substitute teaching during the day at my girls' former school. I had no idea how college was going to fit into my life. But my girls very strongly encouraged me that I had to do this for myself. So I enrolled in a few online classes. During my online classes, I developed a very direct relationship with each of my instructors. The comment that only happens in face-to-face classes isn't true. We may not be able to necessarily recognize one another, but my questions were always answered directly, my comments were always acknowledged, and I felt like I was getting a phenomenal educational experience. E-courses made college fit into my life. But these classes became extremely important to me about this time last year. When Shara was told that she was going to need to stay in the hospital until she was going to get to have her second heart transplant, our world turned upside down. She was entering her 2nd semester as a freshman at the University of Florida, and a lot of her classes had an online component in them. Shara made the commitment and the decision that she was going to remain a college kid. I made arrangements with work to work 4 nights a week down here and spend 4 days a week in Gainesville, and my classes went wherever I was. We would sit in her hospital room studying for our respective classes. Okay, we took ice cream breaks, we watched movies, we played card games, but we still did do some studying. And when she needed to take a quiz or turn in an assignment, I would leave to give her privacy, go off to find one of the computers that was accessible for families, turn in my assignments, look for my new assignments, take a quiz, post a discussion, and together we finished our spring semesters. Those memories mean everything to me now. Shara's resolve to keep working for her degree during the most difficult of circumstances is what inspires me every day to keep working toward my educational goals. So I'd like to thank you for acknowledging my effort with this honor, but more importantly, I would really like to thank you for your dedication, for finding innovative ways to make educational opportunities available to very non-traditional students like me.
The 2008 Lifetime Achievement in E-Learning Award is being given to Pamela Quinn, president of our J. LaCroix Center, Dallas County Community College District, and was unanimously voted on by the Board of Directors. Presenting her award is Dr. Andrew Jones, Vice Chancellor of Educational Affairs, Dallas County Community College District.
That's a very difficult person to follow. And I was sitting next to Pam Quinn a few minutes ago and Barry and listening to some of the things that ITC was doing, and one of the things they talked about was posting things to the website to interest people, and I said, you know what, all you have to do is record this testimony, and everybody in the world will know the importance of distance learning. Let me shift for a minute and talk a little bit quickly about Pam Quinn. Pam, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, is an icon, a young icon, but nonetheless an icon. She started her career in public affairs at the Dallas County Community College District at Richland College. She then moved on to marketing and then went into leadership of the public broadcasting station there. She later transitioned to her role as leadership and management of our LaCroix Center, which has been in place since 1985. Pam has led our district in collaborative programs, and let me give you a little bit, very quick snippet about what I'm talking about. We have 7 independently accredited colleges. We have 7 independently minded CEOs. And we have at least 7 independently minded, prospective faculty and staffs. So the notion of collaboration sometimes escapes us. But Pam has been a leader in trying to bring that together for us. Most recently, she has been the state leader in course redesign with Carl Twigg, and many of you know her and her efforts in terms of course redesign around the country. We have about a total of 35,000 students taking distance learning courses, in large measure due to the work that Pam and her people have done. She's kept us on the cutting edge of technology. She's kept us on the market edge of delivery. Many of you are aware of the telecollege and telelearning programs which have international renown. Pam has led these efforts. We have a lot going with the corporate, military, and institutional partners because of the efforts and leadership of Pam Quinn in our district. And many of you know her as a friend. I think that it's safe to say that she is passionate. I think it's safe to say that she is committed. But I'd like to end my presentation with a very quick story that I think perhaps describes Pam Quinn best of all. And that's the story of Pedro, who's a second grader, and it's the end of the day. And the teacher says to the children, well, we need to start putting our things away, but we have a few more minutes. So I want you all to take out a piece of paper, pencil, crayon, whatever you like, and I want you to draw the thing that is most important to you. And the children are dutiful, and they start working on it, and she starts walking around the room looking at what they're doing. And she comes to Pedro, and she tries to figure out what he's doing. She can't quite say it. She kind of moves around. He moves around, too, to block her from seeing what he's doing. So she really gets curious now. But finally she says, well, children, we have to put it away. It's the end of the day. We have to get ready to go. And Pedro's in the back feverishly working on his design. So she finally walks up and she says, Pedro, you really got to put this away. And he says, okay, I will. And she says, well, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm drawing a picture of God. And she's a little bit taken aback. She doesn't really know how to respond to this. But what she says is, well, Pedro, nobody really knows what God looks like. And he looks back up at her and says, but you will in a minute. Let me introduce to some of you and present to others of you, Pam Quinn.
Thank you very much, Andrew. He did describe some of the real challenges that we do have working with a multi-campus system with 7 individually accredited institutions. All sorts of challenges through the years, and we continue with those challenges as right now we are working with a district-wide distance learning committee. Andrew actually chairs the whole committee, and there are 7 subcommittees within the big committee and over 130 people working on where is distance learning going. And this process started about 3 years ago, and it continues. Actually, it's now been under 2 different leadership groups, but our district takes distance learning very, very seriously, and Andrew has a definite key role in that as well. I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Pamela, too. It must be the day of the Pams, but very good for you. You have a wonderful story, and we're so glad you were able to share that with us, and we appreciate you. They say that I think it's Confucius that actually said, if you choose a work that you love, you don't have to work another day. And that's really been a lot of what my career has been about. It's more play than it is work. It's fun. You're doing something every day. You get to get up and go to work and really know you're making a difference in people's lives. And that's a very rewarding position to be in. And the only thing I'm asking now is, since I got this award, do I have to retire? Or as my husband say, no, you get to retire. But anyway, I'm wondering how many of you, though, have been to more than one distance learning conference this year. And if we had our little turning technology clickers, how many would click on one DL conference this year? How many would click on 2? How many would click on 3? 4. Yeah, I know Ed would. Ed works for me. He likes to go to conferences. Any more than 4? Anybody going to 5? 5. Look at this. This is amazing. 6? Are there that many out there? There really are. But the reason I asked that question is that back in 1980, what was probably the first distance learning conference was held, and it was called Reaching the New Student. It was held in Dallas, Texas, and I happened to be working at KERA, our PBS station, and I was, of course, very interested in distance learning and the notion of using technology to reach out with students since I work for our PBS station. So I went over to that conference that was actually a Hilton Hotel in Dallas and stayed there and really learned a lot about what this was all about. And it was all about telecourses. And it was being put on by the major producers of telecourses. And in reality, that conference, Reaching the New Student, is what has developed into the ITC conference. That conference started out Reaching the New Student, and then it went to the Telecourse People Conference, and eventually into ITC. But when I look back, and I've been around now long enough to have attended a lot of conferences, I really think that was probably one of the very first national conferences reaching out to that new student. During that time and since that time, I've been fortunate to attend the first meetings of a number of distance learning organizations. In 1983, I attended Newton, National University Telecommunications Network Conference in Kansas City, and the focus of that was teleconferencing as a distance learning tool. I'll plug Newton real fast, too. There's a conference that's going to be looking at the future of distance learning and where this is going in the year 2020. I happen to chair Newton right now. And so our conference is coming up, but it's a complement to this one. I wanted you to know about that. But Newton started out its roots in teleconferencing. ITC, really in telecourses. I attended the first League for Innovation conference that's now the CIT. That focus was the computer. That was going to go on 5 years. It's still going on. That was a long time ago. I attended the first conference of USDLA, happened to be in Anaheim, and the purpose of that was to put educator eyeballs in front of vendors, and so I was there. And just a few years ago, I attended the first conference for IFWE, the International Forum for Women in Education. But as all these conferences have gone on, the technology has merged, and now you're seeing all these different conferences that deal with distance learning and, what makes them stand out. So a lot of these conferences started around technologies now because all the technologies are merging. There are so many different ways you can find professional development help with excellent conferences such as this ITC one. But through the years, I was trying to count how many different boards I've actually served on that were doing things, and I'm up to about 13, and every time I think of another one, I'll go, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. And so I've really had my hand in a lot of evolutionary things and starting out, and that's what's made my career so much fun. And although I've worked very hard in the Dallas district, I've also worked very hard in the national scene, and I had the privilege of doing things that I could only wish I could get to do, and I've been able to do them. I've also been in charge of creating organizational names that probably no one would even know, but I know what I created. And I created the Starlink, which is one of the longest professional development networks in the country. And I remember I was with Ron Bry, who worked at Boston Community College, and I wanted to call it Starlink, and he wanted to call it some kind of initials. And like Trans Texas satellite network or something. And I said, no, I really want Starlink. I said, well, we have to figure out something. What can it be? And I said, it's the state of Texas something resources link. And he goes, academic resources link. I went, yeah, that's it. So Starlink was born at the Hyatt Hotel in Austin as we sat there thinking about where we were going to go with that. And that still proudly is still operating in the state and now has a number of national contacts as well. I also created the name Virtual College of Texas, and this happened because Ray Garcia, who heads up the Texas Association of Community Colleges, and I were getting ready to meet with Governor Bush's staff member, Margaret LaFontaine, who is now Margaret Spellings at U.S. Department of Ed. And we were going over to meet with her, and we had to come up with a name, and the obvious name would be, for a Virtual College of Texas, would be calling it the Texas Virtual College. But then we knew, no, that would become TV College, and we didn't want it to go there. So on a napkin, we wrote Virtual College of Texas, and within an hour, Ray and I were over pitching this to Margaret Spellings and telling her about that. And now the Virtual College of Texas continues to operate throughout our state. And then the other interesting name that I had a part in was actually distance learning. When I first started with the Telecommunications Center with the Dallas Community Colleges, I remember we had a meeting and there were about 25, 30 of us happened to be in Dallas. And I remember Dee Brock, who had just gotten with PBS, was saying, okay, we've got to get this together. Do we want to call it distance or distant learning? And everybody agreed, let's call it distance. She goes, okay, we all need to be saying that then when we go out, because we've got to have one name around all of this. And I was really new at the time, and I didn't care which way it was going to go, but I think obviously distance won. So those are some of the fun things that I've done in the past. But in reality, it ends up being all about people and how you can work with people and help people and make a difference with people. And so from our faculty and our students, and I just was working with a student just a few weeks ago, just this semester, in fact, she was having problems with one of her online classes, and so one of our advisors helped her really look at the syllabus from a couple different classes, and she picked which class she wanted to get in, and so it was really good to see her be able to take this online class, because she is a 50-year-old woman who just is trying to work full-time and go back to school, and she travels sometimes too, so this was working out for her schedule. But the people that have made a difference in my life don't just live in Dallas. We have been able to work with the people around the country, and that has made a big difference in the positions that I have held. And since no awards or honors or recognitions are really given to one person and earned solely by that person, I want to share my recognition with a lot of other people that have made a difference in my lives along the way. First, I'd like to recognize Roger Poole. Okay. If you know Roger, you would know why I'm crying right now, because this is what he does all the time. And so I was a good steward of his. But Roger was actually the first chair of what was called the Task Force on Mass Media. And this is what became the ITC. Roger was asked by AACC to chair this task force on mass media, and within a year, it became the ITC. So Roger was really the first chair of ITC. And he is the one that hired me, not once, but twice, into our college district. He hired me when I first worked at Richland College, and then I went to our PBS station, and then he hired me back to work with Dallas Telelearning and on the national marketing side. But Roger, from day one, promoted, loved ITC, and loved the fact that distance learning could help students. And so I really credit Roger with getting me into the position, and he definitely has the passion, continues to have the passion, and I continue to work with him and appreciate everything that he had done. I also want to thank all of my colleagues that are here today in the audience, and that's Andrew, Patty Jennings, Becky Stinson, and Ed Bowen, and Aaron Jennings somewhere, who are also working with the LaCroix Center. And I want to thank all the people that have worked at the LaCroix Center, both past and present, because they have, without a doubt, been members of the team, and each and every person in that group has had a very special part. But I want to specifically thank Dottie Clark, Bob Crook, Jim Piquet, and Ted Porte for the work that they did for bringing the LaCroix Center along and for making a distance on a national basis as well. And actually, Ted Porte, who is no longer with us, but he worked up, now he really did have a lifetime achievement. He worked up until he was about 72 and passed away not long after he stopped working in our district. But he received, was one of the first, maybe the first, Ziggy Award, which is the Lifetime Achievement Award. But Ted was a wonderful person and a good mentor to everybody that has worked at the LaCroix Center, and I want to thank all those people. Then I want to thank, I just talked about my work family. Now I want to talk about my real family, and this one too. Okay. I have a very supportive husband who wanted to be with me today. Probably because he wanted to golf in Florida, but I think he was trying to tell me he really wanted to come, but he couldn't work. He had to be working. But I was able to bring both of my daughters with me, and I'll just have them stand because they've been part of this for a long time. My oldest daughter, Kelly. Kelly is now a high school teacher, and she teaches computers and business computers, and she walked into our exhibit hall the other day and went, "Oh my gosh, this is what I do." And I went, "This is really funny," because we both kind of got there for different ways, but she is definitely working with technology and working with those high school students that will be coming our way very soon. So she's making a difference, and she's taking a professional leave day today so she could be here. And my other daughter, Courtney, is a senior at the University of North Texas, and she will be graduating May 10th. And she's graduating with a degree in International Studies and International Business. And she came along just to see what the next step of her life is going to be all about as she hits the business world. So I was very blessed they were both able to be with me today. And Courtney didn't have classes today, so she has classes tomorrow. They're flying back tonight. So thank you. I appreciate you being here. And then I'll talk about my friends and colleagues in the ITC family. And I could probably mention everybody's name in this room, but I want to specifically just thank some that have really made a difference. And a lot of these people didn't get this Lifetime Achievement Award, but they should have, too. And these are people that have made a real difference for me. Leslie Purdy at Coastline. Cindy Elliott, who's at Fort Hays State, but Cindy was probably one of the first people I met on the road when we were traveling. And actually, I remember meeting her in Florida here, and she used to be with Miami-Dade. Peggy Falkenstein from Sinclair, Sally Beatty from Intellicom, Rhonda Edwards, who's here. Rhonda? There she is. Bert and Cheryl right there, thank you. Carol Spalding, Joanne Grayson. And Joanne actually was one of the first ITC employees, too. She, in fact, right when I came on the ITC board, Joanne was the current part-time ITC employee, one of the first. Jacques Dubois here. Linda Warmer. Monica Pilkey. I know Monica's here. And I wanted to especially thank my fellow Texans, Ron Bry and Mickey Slimp. You get to work on the national scene with a lot of people, but you work a lot in your state. So between Ron and Mickey and me, we really ran the state of Texas for a long time, and I appreciate those friendships that I have made. And Mickey and I share a poet. Our favorite poet is Edgar Allan Poe. If you'd like to ask him why he likes Edgar Allan Poe so much, I'm sure he'd be glad to tell you. It also has something to do with an ITC conference. But and finally, I just want to say that ITC really has made a difference in so many lives. And I wanted to just mention one other person that was important in ITC, and that is Chris D.L. Mullins. Chris was the coming right out of school. In fact, she was about Courtney's age when Chris was getting out of school, and I was the ITC chair back in 1991, and we were hiring for a full-time ITC person to come in and work with the organization. And so I came to Washington, interviewed her in person, and can I tell my story? Chris, she came to work. She was wearing this navy blue suit, white shirt, her hair pulled back. She looked really professional. And I was like, I really like her, but she's going to have to lighten up a little bit. this group's fun, and she looks really kind of stark. And she was making the right impression coming right out of school. She had been an intern at NPR, so I was really impressed with her work. And she just told me yesterday that our second interview was done with a phone conversation, and she was at home in her pajamas talking to us. So we were using technology at the time for that phone interview, but Chris really has now led ITC from the Washington office for about half of ITC's life. So she is absolutely one of the best hires I've ever made, and I just wanted to congratulate her because she shares in this award with me. Not quite a lifetime, but you'll be up here before you know it, guaranteed. But I really do appreciate this award, honor, and recognition. It does mean a lot to me, especially from the people where it's coming from. So thank you very much, and thank you for everything that each of you does every day for your students and your colleges and the community. And now, since we all kind of share in that distance learning student coming from anywhere, we're all kind of in new ways vying for that same student. But it's important that each one of us serve those students with quality courseware and good student services so they keep coming back. Thank you.